Hey, everybody, welcome back to Keep the Change. Hey, this is part 2 of a conversation that I had with Matt Lewis, a dealer in Arkansas. Matt's an incredible guy who last week talked to us about how he built his business and how his family built the business. They're 4th generation car dealers in Arkansas. Great humans. He talks about his faith, his family. Today, we're going to talk about leadership, and he's going to get deep into culture and his philosophies on leadership and training. I know you're going to enjoy it. Let's jump back in. By the way, if you haven't listened to the first one, I recommend you listen to that first and then go ahead and listen to this one. We'll talk to you next time. So tell me about your philosophy on this, though. I mean, again, you've done a lot of different roles. What we've talked about so far is incredible training. Your grandfather had this vision. They had the vision to bring the family into this, but he wanted to make sure everybody knew what they were doing and that they liked what they were doing and they were going to run with it. And you've got 3 of you that are family members that are part of this business. So you've shared your business success. And what you feel?
Okay.
I know I'm stretching this question out, sorry. But what do you feel drives the success of Lewis? You guys sold 617 vehicles in March of 2025.
Yes, sir.
You guys, that's incredible. So, and I got to go back. You train your managers, you do all the training, right? You and your brothers, right? Mm-hmm. You're the vice president. Isn't that your title, right?
It is.
And you do all the training every day. And so tell me about that. Tell me about your philosophy that has really bled into your employees and obviously led to so much success.
Okay. I want to talk about that, and then I'm going to talk about our Achilles heel too. Okay.
Yeah, that's on YouTube.
So successful. So everybody keep tuned in here, okay? Because it's just not all roses and easy. Yeah. Our philosophy is to create a one-of-a-kind environment for employees to come to work to make a living, to support their family, their hobbies, whatever it may be. We must start there. We got to take great care of our employees. We got to have a great atmosphere, uplifting, all these additional things we've put in our new facilities if we want our customer to have a great experience. And Cummings had a quote about there. He said, delight the internal customer before the external customer. And that always stuck with me. And whether it's a sale or a process or anything, I send out very few memos via email. I get everybody together and we get buy-in and I read the room and we go over what's going to be launched. I've already met with my managers first, so I have my catalyst ready to go because there will always be a meeting after the meeting. You know what I'm talking about there? It's you have the meeting and then you have the little groups that are dissecting and going, what they said, was it true? And if you don't have buy-in from enough people that are catalysts that are helping support your idea, it'll never grab traction. So we focus on that first internally with our employees. So we have a great external experience. And then we can give back at even a greater level locally. And we talk about that a lot. And I'll pause right here and say this. We've been in business for a long time.
Yeah.
And we are blessed to be in a booming area. We really are. We got Walmart here. We got Tyson's Chicken here. We got JB Hunt here. It is a booming area. And so the amount of big corporation automotive businesses that have tried to buy us happens every single day. But it's more important to us. Yes, we're in business to make money, but it's more important to us than selling for this huge figure to be able to grow so that we can provide more jobs to people, to have a great place to earn a living, to support their family, and then we can give back at even a higher level. Because every sports team around, a little league team and nonprofits, the big corporations that are owned out of Chicago or New York or San Francisco or wherever, they're not sponsoring those teams. Yeah. So it means something in a highly competitive where every dealer across the U.S. pays the same amount for an F-150 or a Jeep Wrangler. We got to be different. And people like, and they gravitate towards that of going, I know that where I spend my money here, that they're going to reinvest at the football field over here, or they're going to reinvest with a shop with a cop program when it comes Christmas time, or so on and so forth. And I think that's the burning fire within my brothers and I, is besides just growing the business, it's growing a great place to work with more opportunities and then to continue to give back.
So good. So good.
Now let's talk a little bit about the culture there, and then I'm going to get into some hurdles we've gone over, if that's okay.
Of course.
So, and these are really simple, okay? So you don't have to have a doctorate degree to understand this, because we all graduated, me and both my brothers, from a high school with less than 100 people in each class. All right. We're talking about rural Arkansas. And when you come into our dealership, the culture, we got great music playing, and it's playing everywhere. It's out on the lot. It's in the shop. It's corner to corner. Now we got to make sure the playlist, somebody that's 20 that likes it and somebody that's 85 that likes it.
Yeah.
We shut down anybody cursing and not talking correct. And I've had person after person be like, well, nobody heard me. Nobody was around. You never know.
Yeah.
You can't practice one way and perform another way.
Oh, so good.
You know, but that takes time, and everybody thinks that's silly. Maybe that's listening to this is like, okay, well, they said some cuss words. If they said some cuss words, you never know who you're going to offend. It might not offend you, but what if it offends that person in the service waiting area? What if it offends somebody that's getting ready to buy a car from you? Let's just cut that out. It's not necessary. It's no different than you come into any of our meetings. We will never, ever manage by fear. We don't manage by fear. We don't threaten by fear. We don't flip tables over. We don't give ultimatums. If that needs to be done, we sit down one-on-one in a coaching session and we go over productivity and we put somebody on notice for that. But you'll never see me go into a meeting belittling I mean, think about this. And Bart, I know you know this, but think about this. Some people out there, and here's the deal. They've never been taught how to manage a coach. So all they know to do is to go in and threaten, and holler and act like a donkey's behind. And then they do that. And then they're like, okay, we got to sell 20 cars today. Go get them. Well, okay. You just brought them down, called them every name under the book. And then you want them to go take care of your customer.
Not going to happen.
It just doesn't work.
No,
it doesn't work. So you start taking those things of, okay, the music that's playing, how we speak, the fun we have at work. When somebody comes in, these are all simple things, but when somebody comes in and they ask for parts, we don't point, we walk them. Hey, follow me this way. Let's go to parts. You know, we memorize as many people's names as we want, kind of like off that old TV show Cheers. Yeah. You know, they said where everybody knows
your name.
You know, especially in service, you know, if somebody comes in, they see the same advisor every single time, you build trust, you build rapport.
Yeah.
And you do that early on.
Yeah.
When they see the same finance manager for their past 3 cars, it's different. It feels different. It's not like the dealership down the road. Yes. We have it. My brother and I have this slogan we really like, and we say, you'll see the name Lewis on the building, and you'll also find the Lewis in the building. You know, so one of us is here every single day. We're in a business where things happen. Somebody didn't tighten the lug nuts, or we messed up on this rebate, or this happened, or we forgot the keys for this. And it's how do we problem solve and how do we get in the middle of it to be able to fix it and move forward?
So what's the hiccup, Matt? What's that thing?
All right, so here we go. I got to paint the picture a little bit first, okay? So we just recently moved to our all new facility a little over a year and a half ago. So we were in that building that you pre-phased since 69. Those buildings over there, we were on 9 acres. We were at about 45,000 square feet, and we had just shy of 150 employees. 18 months ago, we moved to 26 acres, 150,000 square feet, okay, and 270 employees. What we did previously was wildly successful, but was not going to help us get to where we wanted to go. And I think that's so important that and the majority of us found success in business, and I'm talking to everybody out there, because of hard work. We came to work, we just grinded it out, and we were there late. We were there when others weren't. And that hard work got us to where we are, but it's not going to get us to where we want to go. Really quickly, that thing reared its head up at us. Because when you went from 150 to 270, I don't care how good a shape I'm in, I couldn't keep up. There weren't enough hours in the day to be able to scale. So we had taken what my dad and my grandfather and all the rest of us taught, and that was hard work. We grew up on a horse farm, shoveling stalls, all the rest of it, buying our own vehicles, hard work, and you just grind. And that'll get you a level of success, but it won't allow you to scale. So this is just like kicking me in the teeth, okay? And I'm like, how do I scale? How do I scale? How do I scale? Well, I got to reach out to people that have done it. I got to learn from them. I don't have a playbook on that. So it's podcast, it's books, it's going to seminars, it's getting around the people in my 20 group that had multiple points. How do I gather information from them? How do I learn on how to scale? And the biggest one was I had to delegate and let go of the reins in some areas. And you and I spoke about this the other day, but one of the books that I really enjoy is The Motive. You know, and in the book, The Motive, Patrick talks about that. He gives the two examples of the guys. And we've all been there before where we like kind of give the reins up to one person and then they don't do it exactly how we wanted it done. So then we go back to that silly saying about if you want it done right, you need to do it yourself. You know, and we get caught in this trap, in this circle that just goes round and around, but we're unable to scale because we've hit the ceiling. You know, 100% is all you and I can put out. Now, I grew up with my dad saying, give 110% or 140 or whatever, but 100% is all we can give, you know? And when we would give and we delegate and somebody else would do it at 60 or 70 or 80%, we were disappointed. However, when you start listening to people that have scaled before, if I can get 5 people to do it at 70%, that's now 350%. That's how you've got to look at it in order to be able to scale. And we're not experts at it yet, but we are headstrong down this path that we're going to continue to grow this empire. And it's going to be by scaling. It's going to be by empowering others. Our thumb's still on it and we're still listening and we still got these breakout meetings, but we're learning how to scale. And then second part to that, and this is an ego deal that I had to deal with. I was so proud that in 15 years of me being back in the store, I didn't hire a single manager outside of the company. I grew them all from within, not one in any of our businesses. And I was so proud of that. I mean, I was so proud that I could show everybody, hey, get on with us. We're going to grow you, you know, in the business. But going from 150 to 270 employees, and it forced me that I had to look outside because I couldn't grow that many. What I was missing was the talent pool that was out there that could bring great processes, great ideas, great experience that I and my team didn't have. I should have done that a long time ago.
So good.
Because now we are getting the fruits from bringing other experts in. And we got to make sure they're going to fit our culture.
Sure.
The way we do business.
That they're the right people. Yeah.
They're right people. The right people. So both of those things, and we're not done yet, but both of those things have been game changers for us.
Oh, right on. Talk about growing. I mean, not only did you grow from 150 to 270, yeah, how you guys grew. I mean, and I love what you said. Well, I'm going to find out. And that's, I mean, you're an athlete. It's so funny because you and I were talking before we got on, and we got about 5 more minutes, but I just try to cut it short around here just because some people won't listen this long. We might make this in two different podcasts, but man, it's so interesting. You and I talked about when you were young, you weren't a great athlete, but now you're an elite athlete. And one of the questions that I was going to ask you, I've got 9 here.
I love that you called me an elite athlete. I hadn't heard of that before, but I'll take it.
Well, you said it, I mean, in so many words, but how is it with your mental and we're going to put it all together.
Yes.
Mentally, physically, and spiritually. How have those things, I'm kind of fascinated by Andy Frisella's 75 Hard, right?
Sure.
Because that makes us a better human when we're all done. But how have you, with your physical, because you've also transitioned as a parent and a father to be a great leader there too. How is being physically fit, spiritually fit, mentally fit, how has that helped you be a great leader in every area of your life?
All right, I'm going to start it off by summing it all up, and then we'll go into the details, which is the reverse way you're supposed to do it. But a guy that you and I both follow, and you've heard this quote multiple times, Craig Groeschel says, everyone wins when the leader gets better.
Yeah.
Everyone wins when the leader gets better. I have learned that, and I didn't always follow that because I always worked hard. But if you don't take time to take care of yourself, physically and mentally, then how can you provide the best for your employees? That's no different than if you don't go to church, if you're not in a small group, if you don't have a daily devotional, and you're not filling yourself up, then all you do is you have an empty pitcher with nothing to pour out into others. So same thing in business. So when I look at endurance sports, whether it's Ironmans or 50K ultra distances, or I've done 3 100-mile trail races now.
Yes.
And when I look at those, just stick with me for a second before you do what most people do, just say that's crazy.
That's great.
Why do I pick endurance? Because here's what I like about endurance, and I kind of fell into this, but I like endurance is it's not just all about your athletic ability. You have to be willing to put in the work to be physically fit enough to endure something that's 10 hours, 12 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours. Okay? You have to be able to put a game plan in place for nutrition, a pacing strategy. So not only do you have to develop those game plans, you got to be able to put it in place. And then here's the best part. You have to be mentally strong when everybody or your body is telling you to give up, that you keep pushing, and you have to be a master of problem solving. Because your game plan is not going to go perfect. Something's going to happen. And when I get around these people in the ultra endurance area, they're entrepreneurs. They're business people. They're not athletes naturally. It's because they're really good at establishing a game plan, putting it in place, being able to pivot throughout when something doesn't go perfect. Isn't that what happens every day in business?
Yeah.
We put a game plan in place, but then something happens. It doesn't go perfect. Then we have to pivot and we have to problem solve. So when I think about those, they translate right over to business because I got to be able to have a strategic game plan. I've got to be able to adjust. I got to be able to be mentally strong when we were geared up to have a big day and then it flops. I've got to be able to pivot. I got to be able to re-rally when you're in a low or behind the goal, so on and so forth. And then on a personal level, I have to make sure that I'm at my best for everybody. So like my daily routine, and I'll go over this really quick because I know we're getting close on time, but almost every single day it's quiet time. It's in the sauna. Okay. And then I cold plunge. Those 3 things prepare me for once I get out of the car at work for whatever may come my way. Because I'm right with God. I've gotten right in the mind. I've already stressed my body, and then I've jumped into cold water to prepare myself so I can bring the best for my team.
Yeah.
Because if I can't bring the best for my team, how do I ever expect them to perform at a high level? And it's this trickle-down effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I do those crazy things.
Yeah, that's so good, Matt, because if you're a leader listening to this, there's so many nuggets, but you're not getting what you want out of your people. It goes back to the brother I was talking about earlier. He's not getting what he wants to get out of his people. Why? Because something in there means they don't respect him or trust him, or something in what he's asking them to do is not being congruent. Like you said, is he getting in there making calls? Is he showing them? Is he being a leader, or not just go do this, but follow me? And that's what you guys do. I mean, considering you've got so many employees that every day you do the training, I think that's crazy. I think you should just hire me. But but I respect it because you're so darn good at it. I mean, who's better than you, right? Who's got it better than us, right?
Right.
But you do it so well. But Drew Tutton, you might remember Drew, but I asked him, I said, Drew, what do you want your managers to do? And he said, if there's one thing that you want your managers to do, what is that? So I have a question for you.
Okay.
If there's one thing, not desking deals, not what, I mean, it might be, but one thing, you only get one thing that you want your managers to do that will trickle down or flow down, what would that one thing be?
To help their employees achieve their goal.
Cool. I love it. Yep. I love it. You know what he said?
What?
I think you collaborated with him. I think that's what happened. He said, train. And then, train, man. And then guess what I asked him? Because this is before he and I partnered up. Guess what I asked him?
What?
Who's training your managers?
Ooh.
I know, huh? I know.
And I think, when we talk about delegating there, a few years back, my brother Shelby, I passed on the sales manager training to him. And let me tell you what that opened up. Because before, my Monday mornings were get the reports ready, run a save a deal with everybody, do the manager meeting with finance and sales managers, then roll straight into the sales meeting as well to train all the salespeople. And I thought it was good that I was taking on all that load and how broad of shoulders I had. But what was really happening is everybody was just getting average of me because I was spread out too far. Once I let my brother start doing the sales training, it freed me up to be a better trainer and coach for the managers.
Ooh, love it.
So that peeled that back. And because I had faith and I allowed him to do that, which that wasn't easy and that took a while because I had done it for so long, it opened up the door so then I could train the managers.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think too, I've just got to make this other plug. And I know you're going to come down sometime. And I'm so excited to show you through our facilities. And we didn't even talk much about that, but my brothers and I spent 10 years and we went and looked at 100 facilities in person to make notes.
What?
And it wasn't about the colors. It was about the sense of belonging and the place to make somebody, feel at home when they work. It was about having the flow of traffic for customers, how it was easier to get through your dealership. But then it was also, what can we do extra that will help retain an employee, especially a technician or a salesperson? So when they get offered $1 more an hour down the road, they would say, but do you have this? Do you have this? And do you have this? And just high level quick, I'll tell you things like our shops are air conditioned now. Okay. We have a full blown gym with sauna, cold plunge, weights, all the stuff. We have flex space areas all on the second level. And that's important. We learned this. Your break room must be out of areas where a customer or another employee can go ask them a question. Because I found all my employees during lunch, they were in their cars. And I was like, why are you in your car? And they're like, well, I can't get a break. And if we want them to come back off break ready to go, we got to provide that area. So there's outdoor patios, second level. We got a full-blown basketball court, pickleball court, all these different things that if they went down the road, they'd be like, well, no, we don't have a gym. No, our shop's not air conditioned. Pickleball, do that on your own time. You got to think out of the box. So we studied Google and we studied Yahoo and studied Walmart, all these outside areas to go, what could we integrate into the automotive industry to make a better workplace? So then the customer gets a better experience.
Oh, that's epic. That's just, what I hear is champions do things others won't do.
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? You do it with such joy, man. You're a joyful dude. If you get stressed, I'm sure you do. The times I've ever met you, you've got this servant heart going on. So it's so congruent with what you're saying that you're doing for your people. It's not like, if I do this, I'll make more money. No. If I do this, I'll take care of these people who take care of us and take care of our customers. And I think it's epic. And I congratulate you. I was with Hapacar if you've been around long enough to probably remember that. I mean, you're a young guy, but Half a Car was the largest automobile sales training company in the world, Matt. And Eustace Wolfington, my good friend, and I really say that with this respect that he would allow me to be that to him. But he always said that we're creating enthusiastic, loyal, lifetime, internal, and external customers. That's what you're doing, man. And I can't praise you enough for that. So we are going to make this, I think, into 2 different sessions. So I do have a question for you, a couple more, if I can get that out of you.
Yeah, you're good.
If you're talking to the 20-year-old Matt, now, what are you going to tell 20-year-old Matt about his journey? What are you going to teach him?
That one's pretty easy. Don't react on your emotions. And anybody I've spoke to that's in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, and I talk about that, they all start laughing, because we all can go back and look at decisions we made in our 20s that we had that knee-jerk reaction. And that if we would have just paused for a minute and allowed our emotions to settle, that allows your brain to go into logical thinking. See, instantly, and I only learned this because you read books and you reach out to people smarter than you. Instantly, the front part of our brain goes into fight or flight, and we react emotionally. There's very few instances when the building's on fire or the car's flipped over that we need to react that way. And if we'll just listen and gather information and be patient, we can make logical decisions. And so it's a simple answer, yet it's so deep, because it's no different than a customer bringing in a concern. And before I just take action on that, I gather the information from the customer. I go talk to that department head. I go talk to that technician. So I gather all my information before I put together my game plan on how I'm going to address it.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. You know why I really like that? Because I'm speaking here in the next couple of months. Matter of fact, I've spoken a lot on this, but I love emotional intelligence, man. I love it. I mean, I'm fascinated by it. And self-awareness, I'm not only do I do this, but I coach leaders. I get to work with recovering people. And one of the things that number one, self-awareness, so many of us are not self-aware. John wrote a book called The Self-Aware Leader, and he says that's the one thing that leaders need, that sticks them, that gets them stuck more than anything else, is they don't have self-awareness. They're not aware. That's why those assessments by your employees are like, whoa, that's good. But also self-management. In the recovery world, man, there's a lot of people that are self-aware. Oh yeah, I'm an addict, but they're not doing anything about it, right? And then you mentioned, this is what you just said, social awareness. How good are they at reading the room? How good are they at managing their own emotions? And lastly, relationship management. And I'm speaking to the choir, you know all this, but if one has all 4 of those, my guess is you have all of them off the chart. But if one has all 4 of those, they make more money. I mean, isn't that interesting, right? So,
that's so true. And just as we spoke about, those are a lot of developed skill sets. And some of them I've developed because I learned the hard way. I overreacted because I didn't gather all the information. I acted on emotions instead of logic. And our brain is just a magnificent thing that if you'll just pause, just pause, it'll allow your brain to think logically. And I tell people that I'm coaching through this, like, listen, even as positive as I sound on here, I have times that are very stressful on me. Sure. Just like anybody does. But how do you deal with it? And I tell everybody, you better figure out what your outlet is. Because if you don't pick it, something else is going to pick it for you, and it's probably not going to be the right outlet. So now during the day, it might just be a lot walk. And I tell my managers this, because this, 70% of communication is nonverbal. So if you sit in your office that has big windows around it and you're pounding your fist on the desk and you're gritting your teeth. You might not be saying anything, but the rest of the office sees it. And that meeting happens, they're like, avoid Matt right now. He's in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Now's not the time. So I tell my guys, I'm like, go take a lot walk. It's a great time to check inventory. Parts manager, go in the warehouse and check your special ordered parts. Make sure it's organized. Do whatever you need to do, but you must predetermine that before it happens. Don't figure out what your outlet's going to be in the middle of the chaos. So I'm walking the lot. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at that. And I get to share that with people that walk in and they're like, Matt, how do you do it? You don't ever seem like anything throws you off or you're stressed out or you're upset. I said, you just don't see those. Can I share with you how I deal with that so I can pass those tools on to you?
Oh, what a great lesson to teach, right? That's just so
Now,
good.
the other part is when you need something deeper than that, okay? Like you're really struggling with something. Pick some type of physical activity. You don't have to run. If you don't want to run, okay. Running's great for me, okay? If you want to swim, if you want to bike, if you want to hike, but you need something strenuous that elevates your heart rate. Because when that happens, the endorphins start flowing. You start problem solving. If I'm ever up against a wall and I can't figure out a solution to the problem and I go do a run during lunch, I'll start processing those and it'll come to me like this. And if you want to follow, I got a lot of this from the CEO of Walmart, who's in Bentonville. He does what he calls business on bikes. So he takes people on bikes and it gets their heart rate up. And when your heart rate's up and those endorphins are flowing, people just talk. They just freely talk. But I'm telling you this, the marathons I've ran, okay, because a marathon's not a 1 mile or a 5K race. Like it's pacing until you get into the 20-mile range. All right, so the first 20 miles, if you'll find people to talk to, it'll make the time go by. So I would run with my brother and I, even though we run with each other, we don't necessarily talk during a marathon. We split up. And it's almost like a networking event. Like, hey, where are you from? How'd you get into the sport? What are you doing? And because everybody's heart rate's elevated, they start just puking all this information out. And we work through it. So there's magic behind that. So those are two takeaways I've got for you. Figure out your outlets you can do while you're at work, and then figure out some type of physical activity. Okay. And you don't have to be crazy like me and run 100 miles, but do something that puts stress on you and strain on you, and it'll allow your brain to work through and problem solve.
So good. All right, brother. You know, we can't go on. I'm sorry, but I will say God is so good. So land this where we start. And that is, tell us about your faith and what's your faith? How's your faith determined where you are right now and in your life?
Well, it's the only reason that I'm at the level that I am is because of faith. And because when I started turning it over and putting it into God's hands and praying over situations versus doing the normal hard-headed male thing of I got this myself. He gave me the tools. I don't need to seek his advice on this. Doors started opening for me. And when I got to the point where, see, forever I never prayed over small things. They were only over the big things. And then one day it just clicked and it's like, why am I not? Well, I don't want to burden God with this. No, he wants you to. He wants you to communicate with him. And when I started pausing, and even sometimes I may have told you the story, I'll be walking down the stairs to go have a difficult meeting or a challenging meeting with an employee or with a vendor or with a customer. And I'll walk back up into my office and pray over it. The outcome is totally different. And when I put it in his hands, and even when I have to close the door, like me doing the sales training and giving that over to my brother, it opens up another door for me to be able to pour into the managers.
Yeah. So good. So next week I am going to Zambia, and my wife is not going, and it's me and a group of 9 of us. And I'm actually going to teach on a little bit off my book, but in terms of taking action. But my audience is a group of men that probably aren't real nice to their wives sometimes. That's kind of the culture there. And there's some addiction going on. So we'll see where God's going with this. And there's a lot of prayer going on. And knowing that I know, he'll give me every word for both talks. He'll give it all to me. 2 weeks ago, I was in Columbia and I'm on my way. I was in St. Louis driving to Columbia, not Columbia, but Columbia, Missouri. And I'm driving there and I had prepped for my 4 hours of training that I was going to do. I felt comfortable with it, but I put John on and I just wanted God to walk me through. He talked to me for an hour and a half in the Word. By the time I got there, I was obviously at peace. It goes without saying, but I hadn't practiced in the last 2 hours what I was going to say. It went so beautifully.
That's great.
Let go, let God. I had to prepare. I had to pick up my mat and walk, right? And yet I prayed for everybody that I was going to teach, even though I hadn't met them yet. And it went beautifully for 2 days. It was crazy. I'd gotten 3 hours sleep. I don't like 3 hours sleep. And yet it went perfectly. So I hear you. I spend an hour, hopefully an hour, more than an hour with God every day. I pray over all my kids. I pray over my business. I pray for victory using scriptural references and use scripture to just dive into it. I can't do this without that deep relationship with him and could talk to him all the time. It gets rid of the shadow and it brings the Holy Spirit into everything. So, dude, I really have enjoyed this. You're right. I made myself a note that I think in August, I'd love to come see you and absolutely come join you in Arkansas. And I'd love to see. Do you play pickleball?
I don't, but I'm going to have to figure out since we built a court.
I'll play you because you haven't played that one yet. So I'll play you and I'll get you early before you played a couple hundred times. I'll get you now, but I'm not any good. I don't play, but I think that would be so fun to do that. So thank you so much for the time. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for being such an ambassador for what it really means to be a great leader. Thank you for these last 2 sessions of really sharing your wisdom. I'm sure there's so many people that have taken notes that will be trying to reach out to you or come to Arkansas and see you. How do they get a hold of Matt Lewis?
You bet. We've got a weekly podcast, if you don't mind me talking about.
No, please.
Me and both my brothers, all we're doing is pouring back to other business leaders out there. It's called Crossroad Conversations with the Lewis brothers. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple, Crossroad Conversations with the Lewis brothers, or it's got its own website, crossroadconversationspodcast.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn or Facebook. It's just MATT Lewis, LEWIS.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I look forward to what day is your podcast on? What days?
We record on Tuesdays. It releases on Thursdays.
Perfect. This one will probably, it'll be on soon. So by the time somebody's listening, it's already on. So, hey, thanks again. Look forward to talking to you soon. I appreciate your time. Thank you. Keep the changers. Make sure you reach out to Matt, subscribe, give him some feedback. We appreciate you, Matt Lewis.
Thank you.